Possibly. Oh, another car caught up. That's Alfonso Calise Jr., who has gone off in the swimming pool section. A not dissimilar incident to the one that Pazamond was involved in yesterday. And that may well bring out the safety car, with the car at 90 degrees to the direction of the traffic on a very narrow part of track, and a part of track approach blindly. Oh, and another huge accident.
Now that is a big one.
And that is Meindert van Buuren, who is pointing skyward and is going to recover some retrieval. And suddenly the drama from the first corner has been replaced. We've had two big incidents, and that the safety car boards come out.
Yeah, it looks like he's I always worry when cars have gone over others,
and it's Bruno
okay.
Bonifacio, who
he's sitting down. I think he's I don't know, the way he's clutching himself in the nether regions, it may just be the crutch belts. When you go in, you've got these belts that actually go around the inside of your groin area, so we'll see a replay
of this. Have a look. Oh my goodness me, and it was Van Buuren on the back of Bonifacio, and that is a terrible accident.
I know exactly why he's holding his nether regions now. That would have been exactly what I said. That would have really, really hurt.
And the safety structure is doing just what they should have done, as Van Buuren up completely at 90 degrees.
Van Buuren is very, very lucky there that didn't submarine under. The tyre barrier there did absolutely everything it's designed to do to send the cars not skyward too much, but to absorb them and send them upwards rather than dig the hole underneath those tyres. So lucky boys there, and that was all started by trying to get down the inside on the run into Sandoval and being squeezed towards the barrier there. But yeah, a little bit of action here as we see a replay here coming into the swimming pool section.
This is Alfonso Calise, and oh, he gets it wrong coming in, and
that looked like a rookie mistake. Either that or he had a slow rear left puncture.
I'm going with the former. And Alfonso Calise, it's a big step up for him this year to come in to Formula Renault 3.5 litre racing.
The left rear looks good. He just lost it, overcorrected, and from that moment on, he's a passenger.
Well, for those of you with very long memories, the incident between Bonifacio and Van Buuren, not dissimilar to the one between Piquet and Patrese in the 1985 Monaco Grand Prix. They collided in exactly the same part of the track, and the red flag has been shown. So the red flag comes out, and I'd suspect the reason for that, Johnny, is damage to the barriers. It was a huge impact from Bonifacio into the barriers at Sandoval, and it may well have damaged the structure of the barrier. In that instance, safety has to come first, that the barriers have to be inspected.
And I think also there's a lot of debris down there that would have been difficult to clear under safety car conditions, and also the impact of those two cars, it may be that they're not as intact as they want to be. They don't want to just be hoisting them around up in the air and moving them around if they've got a lot of fluids pouring out of them, and also even the structure where they're putting the harness through to hire them up, especially the car that he went over the top of. So,
well, there is Meindert van Buuren, and very pleased to see that he is on his feet. He'll almost certainly be taking a trip to the medical centre. That's what the doctor's trying to say to him, is don't go anywhere. Bonifacio still sitting by the car. I think he's going to, well, not unsurprisingly, they're giving Bruno Bonifacio a blood pressure exam at the moment.
Yeah.
And that is a monumental impact, and it shows just how strong and safe these cars are, that both drivers out of the cars under their own steam, and actually the cockpit structure's intact.
And also, you know, this is a real shot in the arm for the GPDA, and you see the Grand Prix Driver Association, who are in charge of doing all the safety, especially around the Grand Prix circuits, obviously. And you can see there behind him, you see that they've got the forward skin on those tyres, and behind that then you've got the deformable structures, so that it really did a great job there to absorb that energy. But we get so used in motorsport to seeing cars going in and having big impacts and just drivers just hopping out and walking away, and until you actually sat in the cockpit of one of these things, when it hits a barrier at that speed, it's difficult to explain how hard and how much it throws you around. And I'm pretty sure that he is okay. Hopefully, he looks like he's not in too much distress sat there, but certainly that would have really rattled his chain, and he'll be stiff tomorrow. And again, the head and neck, as they put a neck support on the hands device, a head and neck restraint system, that will have definitely helped him as he went pretty much head on in, didn't he, Ben?
Absolutely. Here's another look at it then. And Van Buuren trying for the move very early on, as he's entitled to do, and Bonifacio, it was never on to Van Buuren in the cars. The problem being the cars were locked together, and therefore there was nothing that Bruno Bonifacio could do to slow it down.
Look at the petrol coming out of it. Look at the petrol coming out of that. I mean, look, you see the petrol? Oh, no, that's not. That's coolant. And that's his extinguisher going off. That's his extinguisher going off in the background, which should have been set off. I thought for a second that was petrol, but it wasn't.
So don't be alarmed, by the way, with Bruno Bonifacio sitting there not having moved. The doctors will be making sure that he is stabilised and as immobile as possible before they get him across to the ambulance, because they don't want to take any undue risks. But the fact that he's out of the car, he's talking to the doctors, is obviously reassuring to see, and that's going to hurt tomorrow.
It is. He's going to be stiff tomorrow, and I think probably you were right, but a large part of the red flag that you were talking about earlier is the fact that he's still sat there and they don't want to rush it with him, and I think that's absolutely the right decision to take. And I feel sorry for him, because looking certainly back at the replays, he looked like a complete innocent victim there. That move was never, ever on. There wasn't space. He didn't do a late move to shut the door or anything like that. He was firmly over on the right-hand side, and there's absolutely no way, even taking to the pit lane like he tried, Van Buuren tried, there's no way he could have got down the inside of him into Saint Devote there.
You, of course, drove one of these cars a little bit earlier on in the week, so they look like great fun, are they? Oh,
they're absolutely unbelievable. I was fortunate enough to be invited by Michelin to go down and do some evaluation, actually, of their new 18-inch tyres that they're using, and I drove the 2-litre Renault with new 17 tall-inch fronts and rears, and then the 3.5-litre with the new 18-inch, which initially a little bit strange when you looked at it. A little bit like the Formula E cars. It's weird to see such a large rim and such a small profile tyre, but absolutely unbelievable. I was actually blown away, and I've driven a few single-seaters in recent times, quite quick ones, including Formula One, and I was actually blown away by how lovely they are to drive, and also how stable they are. And obviously some of that is this new 18-inch, which makes the front incredibly stable going into the corners, as we see Bruno being put onto the stretcher there. But yeah, unbelievably quick to drive. The sound of the engine behind you, like I mentioned earlier, fantastic. And I had an absolute blast down in the south of France, smashing around the Circuit du Var in one of these cars. Absolutely unbelievable. Having said that, driving one of these on the limit, we've got a lot of power, 550 odd horsepower for a 500-600 kilo car. And so driving one of these at speed on the limit around Monaco, I'm under no illusion. So when you're doing that, it makes it a lot more difficult.
So there is still going to be a reasonable degree of delay here, because obviously the medical work required takes absolute priority, and then there is the repair work to the tyre wall that is also required.
The only thing that's going to save this a little bit, Ben, obviously they have to get it exactly right, but obviously it's a long way down the escape road, so it's not like it's actually on the exit of the racing line somewhere, and I suspect that that's going to help them speed this process up a bit. But they need to get that skin back in front of those tyres that are harnessed together, and make sure that it's all ship-shape before they start again. And the clock, as we can see, is still counting down, so I don't actually know how many. They're very quick at doing things here, but I don't know how much time will be left on the clock. I suspect it'll be sort of around the sort of 17-18 minute mark by the time we actually get going again with the green flag.
Well, the marshals in the pit lane busy getting the cars into position so that when they are sent, in fact they're in the pit lane, yes they are, so when they are released they'll be able to get to the grid in the order in which the red flag was brought out. Our commentary box today actually doesn't have a view of the circuit, because we're in the outlying suburb of Monte Carlo known as Stratford, so we can't see the what we're seeing in terms of the recovery work is what you can see at home. And well, glad to see that every precaution being taken with Bruno Bonifacio. If you have just joined us, and obviously that picture looks quite unpleasant, we should say Bruno got out of the car under his own speed. There he is, he's waving to the crowd.
Yeah, very worrying if he's got family and friends here with him, and obviously he did get out under his own steam. He obviously is a bit shaken up. He will be stiff tomorrow, but this is all, I think, and I hope, I'm pretty sure this is all just very precautionary, which is the right thing to do, because you never know, you can actually break your neck and things like that and actually not know about it immediately. So, but I'm sure that none of that's happened. I think he's going to be absolutely fine, other than a bit bruised. And just answering, if we've got the opportunity here, a few questions that I've had on Twitter. One from Tom Hillman asking whether Van Buuren was at fault for that, and if so, enough for a penalty. I'm not the race steward, but in my opinion, yes, absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a penalty for the next race.
I think it's one of those where actually the mistake that Meindert Van Buuren made, though, the consequence was disproportionate to the error, because 9 times out of 10 you go for a move like that, you might just brush your wing. It's the fact that two cars got locked together which led to a really significant incident. Had they just brushed, he'd damaged his front wing, we probably would have said no more about it.
I'm not sure. I think at the end of the day, especially around Monaco, it almost takes things back 30, 40 years to the sort of level of respect that drivers have to show each other on track. That respect now has gone in most places. One, because people are just used to driving into each other. Two, because most circuits now allow huge runoff areas that mean that if you do have contact or do go for a silly overtaking move on the inside, you can get away with it and just drive off track, drive back on again with no real penalty. There's no walls or gravel traps to get stuck in. Around Monaco, it's not like that. It's going back in time almost to the old days where you had to show each other mutual respect. And if you're going to throw a move down the inside and even if the guy shuts the door, just keep on trying to make the move stick, you're going to have contact. And that, around Monaco, is going to result in a huge accident.